submitted bylaw amendments. The chair recognized Matt Crabtree, Tennessee TSA president, to discuss the bylaw amendment. The motion was made and properly seconded to adopt the proposed bylaw amendment, which could be read on pages 72 through 74 of last year's conference program. Mr. Reporter moved that at 10:45 a.m. all debate cease and all pending motions be voted upon, and that all debate be limited to no more than 1 minute per person. The motion was seconded and a voice vote was taken. A division was called and a rising vote was taken. The motion to limit debate passed. Mr. Reporter moved that the bylaw amendment be referred to a committee of 5 2009-2010 state officers who are present at this conference, chaired by a 2009-2010 National TSA officer, as appointed by the 2009-2010 National TSA President, to report at the 32nd Annual Conference in Baltimore. The motion was properly seconded. After debate on this motion, Tennessee TSA moved the previous question. The motion was properly seconded and a voice vote was taken. A division was called, so a rising vote was taken and the motion passed. A voice vote was then taken on the motion to refer the bylaw amendment to a committee. A division was called, so a rising vote was taken. The motion failed. After more debate, the time was called at 10:45 a.m. So debate on adopting the amendment ended and the motion was voted on. A voice vote was taken and a division was called. A rising vote was taken and a division was called. A point of order was called, saying that the division after the rising vote should be out of order, and the division was disregarded. The motion to adopt the proposed amendment failed, and Oklahoma TSA moved to appeal the decision of the chair concerning the out-of-order division. A motion was made and properly seconded to take a roll call vote of amending the bylaw. A voice vote was taken and a division was called, so a rising vote was taken, and the motion failed.
Please state your name before, and I will recognize you.
Donald Garrett, Deep Run TSA.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. President, I have one main issue about these amendments. The delegates' voices were not heard. Last year, a motion was made to refer these amendments to a committee, and the delegates unanimously, overwhelmingly voted against this motion. However, they went behind our backs and made a committee anyway. And last year, we also voted against these amendments, and they're back again. We need to send the message that enough is enough, and that no means no. From last year is that there's one pool instead of two pools. I don't care if other organizations use an election process like this. We are TSA. We are preparing tomorrow's leaders, and we need a unique election system that represents our diverse student population. So this morning, we need to send the message loud and clear, because obviously they didn't hear us loud enough last year, that enough is enough and that no means no.
Is there a speaker in favor?
Yes, Mr. President.
Please state your name.
Shelby Watson from Georgia TSA.
Go ahead.
With a pool-type system, we would not have to go through all these runoff elections, and it would make this session or the business meeting go so much faster. I know Georgia TSA uses it, and we got things done amazingly. I know most people don't want to hear it, like Donald, but it's just give it a try. We wouldn't have to sit here for 3 hours.
Let's do things fast. Nothing more effective. Pretty much what you said. Faster is always most effective.
Is there a speaker opposed?
Mr. President.
Please state your name.
Luke Cox from Florida TSA.
You're recognized.
I have a few things to say about this amendment. One, this is a student-run organization. I believe the students voted this down last year. Who is really running this? That is a question I'd like to put out there. Two, in this country that we live by a system. The majority shall never overrun the minority. In this amendment, the minority will not be heard. I'm looking at the states who are for this motion, and those who can get 3 officers to run for this, and can probably vote all 3 of them in. Now, how fair is this having 3 officers from the same state, which is 50% of the officer team standing there? And also, if there are people who aren't capable of some of the positions, like right now, you are holding your position honorably, and I respect you for that. But there are some people who might not be ready to step up immediately, such as you can, because you went through another national office So therefore, I'm very against this motion, and I believe it is unjust.
Please state your name. Sorry, say your name again.
Jessica Howell, Georgia TSA.
You're right.
I would just like to point out that our current system is flawed, and any change would be better than what we have now, so we do not have to face through these running elections and through all this other stuff that we go through constantly. Any change would be better than what we have now, and even if this does not quite work out exactly how we want it to, we can always amend it next year to improve on the current system.
Well, we could, let's just start it on both sides of that one.
Is there a speaker opposed?
Mr. President,
Mr. Vice President.
as many of you may be aware, I have been through a national election myself, and I have seen firsthand many of the national officers this year. After going through this election, and as we know from these very results from sitting in this room today, we have the opportunity of having many runoff elections and holding special elections. One thing that I am afraid of, and I think one thing that we don't need to forget, is that national officers are in for a year. Maybe if we put in the extra 25 minutes, maybe if we put in the extra 30 minutes, no matter how much time it takes today, I want to have the best national officers for a year. I don't want the small states to be pushed out. I don't want the large states to take over, but I'm from Florida. Florida's kind of decently sized, so the only thing is I don't think we should put efficiency before principle. Yes, we need to get this done in a timely manner, but we don't need to sacrifice.
Is there a speaker in favor? Mr. President. Please state your name.
Jordan Rosenthal, Parkview, or Georgia TSA.
How far back is Billy?
Go ahead.
All right. I know that there's over 1,000 people out here in this delegation waiting 3 hours to vote for one office. With this pool system, it would eliminate the time, but keep the ability to put in the best people possible for TSA.
No, the most
Waiting
popular.
3 hours here, we're going past the time that's needed and past the people that want to get to their events to be able to compete. If they can't, they have to go to their events to compete, they can't vote, making it that much more difficult.
Please state your name.
Caitlin Clements, Oklahoma TSA.
Go ahead.
I don't think this amendment is what we need right now. We're the Technology Student Association. We should be worrying about moving forward in the type of election instead of using a ballot. We need to be working on electronic systems, not worrying about just simplifying the process in general.
Please state your name.
Georgia TSA.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to say that, from what I've heard, the primary issue people seem to have against this is that I've heard of conspiracy rumblings and people talking about how big states will do this. And I know personally that a lot of the big states don't even have any candidates running. And also, isn't there a criteria you have to meet before you can try for the positions? I mean, it doesn't really make any sense to say that we're going to end up with something bad just because of this new layout. It's just something that works on making it easier to work with. And if we have more time doing it to making it easy, we can make sure that we are more likely to put it that we're putting our focus on things that are more important to the election.
Was it 10:50 or 10:30? They said 10:50. So if it was 10:50, they'd have a minute to answer the
Is there a
question.
speaker opposed?
Mr. President,
Please state your name.
Lloyd, and I'm from Texas.
Go ahead.
I do
That's
not
not right.
accept this resolution because it's, what if somebody was president and then they were the top popularity vote again when they cannot run two times in a row for president? And I don't see how this resolution, that would make more time. If y'all are talking about time, it would make people confused because they wouldn't know how to resolve the situation if somebody was accidentally put in the same position
Oh, this
twice
gets smart.
because of popularity.